Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dayspring Wesleyan Church podcast. The best way to stay connected to the life of the church is by downloading our church app and enter the information for our church. This will get you connected to our church family. We trust the following presentation will provide you with the hope and direction you need to continue on with your life's journey. Enjoy listening.
Was that a great week last week? I mean, Easter was awesome. And I'm not talking about the fact that there were 1,600 people in our building last Sunday. Okay? Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. But the celebration, the testimonies, the baptisms, the over 20 people who raised their hand and said, I'm all in. That's where the party starts. You do so much work as people and as pastors to get ready for Easter. It's like you're climbing a mountain, right? You put all the work in, you prepare for it, you get up and you have this morning service, which is awesome, and you keep climbing, going home, and you have dinner, and then you go hunt Easter eggs, and then at my home after Easter eggs, we got the best tradition ever. If you have 10 dozen eggs, what are you going to do? You're not going to eat them. You get a water balloon launcher and you shoot them into the woods. I don't advise doing it in Marion at all, by the way. Be in the country. It's probably not safe. But it's awesome. And then you crash, you sleep. That might be the best part. No. But Easter can feel that way. You go, you work, and then at the top of the mountain, you just kind of crash. Church, salvation cannot be like Easter. Salvation cannot be like Easter. It's not what we're shooting toward. See, we didn't just pray for over 1,000 people to show up at church. We didn't just pray for 1,000 people to show up through a door. We didn't just pray for people to get saved. There's more to this journey because your spiritual story doesn't start at salvation. Sorry, it doesn't end at salvation. It starts at salvation. There's music. All right? That's where it starts. It's like saying your career ends with graduation. It doesn't end with graduation. Or it's like saying your marriage ends with a wedding. No one would ever say that, right? The more the portal, your graduation is the portal to your career. It's the beginning. It's more celebrating, but it's the start. Marriage, the wedding is the portal to your marriage. It's more celebrating, but there's so much more to get to. There's so much more growth, so much more love, so much more to experience. In the same way, salvation is the portal to everything God has for us. So we'd be doing something wrong if we just stop with the party when people say, I'm in. Because God wants more. So call this your warning. Today's going to be uncomfortable. Not because I'm preaching. It's because I've been wrestling with this in my life for a while now. And it's been hard. So I want you to hang in with me. We only have one verse we're preaching out of. Just one. Romans 1:1. Not even the whole verse. First part of the verse. I, Paul, a servant of Jesus Christ. Stop there. That's it. Now, I don't usually do this with the kids, but I got to take you on a little journey here. I got to take you into the Greek just for a second. Please, if you think you're going to drown right now, hang with me, okay? There are two words in Greek we need to talk about just for a second. They're the words doulos and diakonos, okay? This is why it's important. Don't leave me yet, okay? Both of those words mean servant. But doulos has two words that it means in an English language. Servant and slave. Now, when Paul's writing his 13 different letters, if he just wanted to talk about servant, why wouldn't he just use diakonos all the time? But instead, he uses both words at different times. And if you're using both words, you're probably trying to communicate something different with it. In this case, it's not I, Paul, a servant of Jesus Christ. It's I, Paul, a slave of Jesus Christ. So why doesn't that show up in American Bibles? Oh, I think you know. Because slave is not a word we like to use. And that's why today is going to be a little difficult. Because slavery, that word in our socio-political climate, brings a lot of feels with it, doesn't it? You hear that word, and you either get angry, you get defensive, you check out. Not trying to tell you what to feel, just acknowledging there's feelings with that word. But it's in the Bible. So we're going to talk about it. "2,000 years before Jesus, before Paul, the Israelites, they knew slavery. They had been enslaved for 400 years in Egypt. And that slavery would have been a lot like slavery we understand it here in the States. Oppressive, killing slaves, not caring for them at all. But when Paul says slavery, I, Paul, a slave, the people hearing this hear something completely different. Because although they left slavery, slavery didn't end. Slavery became a part of their culture. And I'm going to say something here, and I want you to hear me to the end of it, because if you just hear the first part, you will get frustrated and leave, okay? Hang with me. In the Old Testament law and in the New Testament, it never says slavery should be abolished. Hang with me. It makes it very clear in the New Testament the type of slavery we had here was atrocious, should never happen. The type of slavery in Egypt, it's not loving your neighbor. No. But the slavery that we're talking about, that they understood was different, because in the Old Testament law, there are laws of how to treat slaves, how to care for slaves. And those verses are in your notes. I'm not going to read them all for the sake of time, but I'm going to highlight what they're going to talk about, and you can check them when you go home. So listen, here's some of the things that it teaches, the Old Testament law in Exodus and Leviticus. They couldn't have slaves for more than 6 years. And on the 7th year, they had to let them go. That was the rule. That was the law. If a slave didn't want to be freed, that's quite a concept. Because that assumes there were some slaves who didn't want to be freed. If a slave didn't want to be freed, there was a ritual where he or she could become a slave for life. In Exodus. Israelite slaves, according to the Old Testament law, could not be bought or sold. Makes it quite different than our rules. It wasn't like you would become a slave of someone and then leave or get sold to somebody else. Once you were the slave, you stayed the slave for the 6 years. Or 3 years till that 7th year in the Jewish calendar. And it says clearly that harsh treatment is prohibited. Can't brutalize your slaves. Can't treat them bad. Here's why. Because slavery is voluntary in their world. You chose to be a slave. Why? chose to be a slave because for some people, it was either I starve or I become a slave. I go homeless or I become a slave. Not that slavery is somehow better than being free. That's not what they wanted, but if I have the choice, I'm going to choose slavery. If I'm a mom or a dad and my kids could starve, my kids could die, my kids could go homeless, I get thrown in a debtor's prison and they'd be without a mom or without a dad, I'm going to choose slavery to take care of them. This is hard to wrap our minds around, isn't it? I'm with you. I'm with you. Slavery became voluntary. And they were cared for. So we hear the original words of Paul. There's this talk of slavery. He's actually inviting us to become slaves as well. So I guess they just understood slavery different. Why did someone become a slave? Survival. You're going to hear me say that a lot today. Why did they become a slave? Survival. Why did they stay a slave? Oh, because the master was good. I just tip you off where we're heading here? Hang with me. Why did Paul become a slave of Jesus Christ? Why did people choose to become slaves? Survival. He had been saved by Jesus from sin and death. And by the continual grace, the continual love, the mercy, the forgiveness that he experienced from Jesus every day, he was able to conquer sin or be redeemed from sin every day. Jesus saved him from eternal death, but he also knew that constant grace kept him from the doorstep of that eternal death of walking right back into it. Salvation happens daily. I need it. Daily. I can easily sin. Don't know about you. I can easily open the gates of hell to my family. Maybe you're better, but maybe there's more. And why did Paul stay a slave to Jesus? Oh, because his master was good. And for this reason, Paul invites us to do the same. The second reason slavery is a difficult conversation is because of the antithesis. What's the opposite of slavery? Freedom. 3 of you knew it. Good. Freedom. And freedom is at the core of American values. It is written into the Declaration of Independence that we have the right to be free. We hold dearly to a collective freedom from oppression, but we also hold dearly to an individual freedom of expression. I have the right to say, to think, to worship, to do what I want any old time. Right? Thank you, Pastor Wayne. How do I not spill it now? It becomes a question. So if we hold on to these, can you see that there's a little train wreck coming here between what we value in freedom, the collective freedom of oppression, and the individual freedom of expression? It's going to get messy in our hearts and minds. But it's in the Bible. So we should pay attention to it. Jesus spoke of freedom. Some of you might know this verse. John 8:36. Get to that. If the Son sets you free, you are, some more of you knew that. You are free indeed. From what? Context. I'm going to read out of John 8, starting at verse 31. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to Jesus. He's better at this anyway. To the Jews who had believed him, Jesus said, if you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth. When will you know the truth? When you obey what I teach you. When you do what I teach you, then you will know the truth, and then the truth will set you free. They answered him, we're Abraham's descendants. We have never been slaves to anyone. Now hold on. Their ancestors had, but this group, they'd never been slaves. How can you say, since we're not slaves, that we shall be set free? Is he speaking to Jews or is he speaking to American Christians? Because we're free. So why are you telling us that there's more? Continues. Very truly I tell you, everyone who sins is a slave to sin. Now, a slave has no permanent place in the family, but a son, that'd be Jesus, belongs to it forever. So if the Son sets you free, from what? From Rome? From those tough tax collectors? Don't preach for me. I'm getting there, buddy. Yeah, we'll go right to it. Sin, right? Yeah, sin. Good to see you, by the way. It's been a while. Seriously, I'm glad you're here. Yeah. Not some unjust judges, not some harsh police, not a slave master. No, I'm setting you free from the thing that is binding you all, that you're ignoring because of your personal and collective freedoms, and that's your freedom from sin. That's what's waiting for you on the other side of salvation. There's so much more. So if the Son sets you free from sin, then you're free indeed, right? Freedom from sin is the only way any of us will be truly free. The only way. This is so neat. Freedom of speech will not make you free. Ask the church in Iran, who can't witness, but the church is exploding. Freedom of religion will not set you free. Ask the church in Indonesia. The regulations on them are so strong and the persecution is tough, but the church is exploding. Freedom of assembly. We felt that back in COVID. Do you remember? How can you forget? There's just my 10 family members sitting here watching me preach on a Sunday morning. It was rough. And there was all kinds of debate and fight, both sides. But freedom of assembly won't set you free. Ask the church in China, who are meeting underground. They are not free to meet. And what is happening to the church in China? Exploding. Because it's those individuals and collective freedoms are not the freedom that you are longing for, that I'm longing for, though I love. It's the freedom from sin that changes everything. So Paul is saying, if you want to be free, become a slave. Sound like somebody else's teachings? If you want to be great, you must be a servant. Want to be first, you must be last. If you want to find your life, you must lose it. If you want to be free, you must become a slave. Ooh. If you don't like it, welcome to the ride. So, how do you start? Number one, you got to pick your master. Now, in this thing here, there's no bivocational workers here. When you pick a master, you pick one. There's no side hustle when you pick a master. You get one. And there's so many things vying to be your master. Let me quickly walk you through some. Money. Money wants to be your master. Even Jesus taught on that one. Can't get enough money to be secure enough, to be comfortable enough. So when the opportunity for more money calls, you obey. Career. Blue collar, white collar, service industries, stay-at-home parent. You can't get enough power. You can't get enough success. You can't get enough purpose. You can't get enough security. So you work harder, you work longer, and whatever sacrifice the career master asks of you, you do. Entertainment. Can't have enough fun or stimulation, so when the fish are biting, when the show's ready to start binging, when the game's ready for releasing, you answer the call. Relationship. Pick one. Be a parent, mom or dad. Be a husband, your wife. They can become your masters. Your kids. Boyfriend, girlfriend, evasive romantic relationship. They can become your masters. You don't want to lose them. You don't want to feel unwanted or needed. You're scared of not feeling love. They ask, you answer. They demand, you drop, you go. Can I step to the side for a bit? Because I'm trusting that the Spirit's doing a little bit of this to some of you. Not that one of these people is your master, but you're making somebody a slave. You can be a 47-year-old parent. You can be an 87-year-old parent. A 27-year-old parent. Feel like I'm putting in all the work. I've put in all the work. Now it's your turn to take care of me. And you will do what I want when I say it. I deserve it. And some of you grew up in a home where mom ran the show, dad ran the show. Whatever the one said, the other did. And so that's how you're treating your spouse. The tough part about that, if you're listening to it through this lens, by you being their master, you're keeping Jesus from being their master. I know that's not what you want. So stop. Ask God to forgive you. He will. Ask your kid to forgive you. Let them free. This is so weird to say. Free them to become a slave to Jesus. And then you will be free to make him your master too. You are vying to be your own master. I want to be happy. I want to be free of pain. I want to be safe. So whatever it takes, whatever I have to do now to be happy now, to be safe now, to be secure now, to be free of pain now, that's what I do. And I use him last, but he should be first. Then there's Jesus. Looks like this. Whatever he says about money, whatever he says about career, whatever he says about relationships, entertainment, whatever he says about you, you drop what you're doing and you do it. If you're his slave, he says you do. You ask questions, good. You wonder why, sure. But you do it. And so you're saying, how is this being free? I don't get any say in this. Right? How is this freedom if I have no say in my life anymore? Let's go back. Why did people want to become slaves? Survival. Are you good at not sinning? I'm getting better, but I'm not great yet. I need a master to show me what to do so I don't blow up my family, so I don't ruin the church, so I don't destroy your kids when I'm teaching them. I need help. I'm guessing you do too. I'm on the doorstep of death every day. I can make one decision and walk right back to eternal damnation. I can. I need Jesus every day. I thank God for this example. I mean, it's kind of like, I have permission to share this. It's kind of like my wife's driving. You laugh. You think you know where I'm going, you don't. I have permission. If my wife's driving, she's locked in. She's listening to the directions come out of her phone, and she's locked in. Starts to get a little dark. She gets a little nervous. Weather gets bad, she's white-knuckling. If she gets pulled over, which she never has suspiciously, but if she gets pulled over, who's at fault? None of the passengers. She's at fault. If she crashes into someone, she's at fault. If she's in an accident, it wasn't her fault, but she feels guilty now about injuries in the rest of the car, she's the one who has to deal with it because she was the one driving. Well, what's my wife look like in the passenger seat? Scrolling through Facegram and Instabook. Or sleeping. I've never seen someone who can just fall asleep in a car like nothing. Why? Because she's not in control. And when she's not in control, she can rest. Because wherever he drives, she's with him. He turns left, she's turning left with him. He turns right, she's turning right with him. Weather gets bad, I'll close my eyes tight, but I'm still with you. It's his responsibility to see me through. And I can rest. You follow me on this? It sounds good, but it's so hard. That is freedom. Being a slave just means, Jesus, your way, not mine. So step 2, first you pick the master. Step 2, you trust the master. Jesus, your way, not mine. When fear starts screaming loud, Jesus, your way, not mine. When anxiety paralyzes you, Jesus, your way, not mine. When worry consumes you, Jesus, your way, not mine. When every part of your being, in your mind, in your heart, in your soul screams, I know how to do this better. Jesus, your way, not mine. I saw this work out in real time 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you saw this on the news about this American missionary pastor in South Africa who got kidnapped. Did you see this? Yeah? Got kidnapped, held hostage for a while, didn't know where he was. Then there was a ransom, then the cops saved him. I spoke with Pastor Wayne. I got permission to share this. What do you think happened to the trips to South Africa people signed up for One Plus God? People called up, said, I'm out. This incident was hundreds of miles from where Pastor Wayne takes them. And that same week, in downtown Marion, there was a shooting. But no one said, I'm out. Heading to Mount Gilead. No. Hang with me. No one said that. Mount Gilead's a nice place, Harvey. It's a good place. But no one said, I'm out. It was 10 minutes from you, but yet, if it's a few hundred miles away in South Africa, why? Because we feel like we can control that. But I can't control what happens in South Africa. That's just too scary. But did God say go? Aren't you his slave? Is he not your master? You follow me? And One Plus God also has another struggle with all the news reports coming out about airlines, not the delays now. It's about the wrecks and the mechanical issues. People are actually telling One Plus God, I just don't feel comfortable going with the airlines right now. But they will get in a car and drive to vacation. You know as well as I do the stats. There's more people that die every year in cars than do in airplanes. Even with what's happening now, it's not even close. And people will get in a plane still and fly to Florida for vacation. Why? Because I'm my master, I need vacation. Serving, not so much. Why? Because I'm driving the car, I'm in control, not some pilot I don't know. Who's your master? But what if I die? Did you hear me say that? I yelled it. What if I die? We just celebrated people stepping through this portal to eternal life. Paul, who was a prisoner, not a slave when he wrote a lot of these letters, said, for me to live is Christ. To die is gain, which, let me translate, which to die is even better because I'm with him and I'm not in prison and I'm not in pain. Win-win. I don't want to die. Who's to say that God can't use your death for even greater things? Just ask a guy named Stephen. Acts 7. Got arrested because he was preaching Jesus. Got convicted to be stoned to death. Do you think he wanted to be stoned to death? Crazy people? Of course not. Is it a good thing to be stoned? No. Is death good? No. Death is bad. That's why God sent Jesus to remedy it. Who was in charge of making sure Stephen died? The guy who just told you, I, a slave to Jesus Christ. The one who wrote 13 letters that became 13 books of your Bible and became the first prominent missionary traveling all over the ancient Near East and Europe, making sure this guy named Jesus got to them. And because of him, you now have a story of salvation too. In part because of Stephen and his death. Because Paul saw in that too, there's something there I want. Though it tore at him. It took a confrontation with Jesus to get it. Stephen's death had something to do with you finding life. What if I die? I'm with him. Your spiritual story starts with salvation, but it ends with total surrender. Which is step 3. Stay chained because your master is good.
If you're located near Marion, Ohio, we would love to have you join us for one of our Sunday morning gatherings. For directions, service times, and information about our children's ministry, youth ministry, Dayspring Community Sports, and other upcoming events for all ages, please visit us at dayspringwesleyan.org.